Hello, I am Jong-sung Min, an information and communication consultant. I hope that sharing information and communication knowledge with you will bring me happiness and provide you with a beneficial experience. In this session, we will learn about Iptv. Iptv stands for Internet Protocol Television, which is a television broadcasting service based on Internet Protocol. It provides not only regular live broadcasts, but also VOD and Internet services, and can be viewed through a set-top box rather than a computer. As an overview of Iptv, there are claims in academia that mobile IPTV or OTT services derived from Iptv could be subject to Iptv-related laws, since they use the same Internet protocol for video transmission in terms of transmission technology. However, the Korea Communications Commission is showing a policy of not regulating OTTs, as the market has not yet been properly formed. It is predicted that if the OTT market grows further, laws related to broadcasting and Iptv will be amended to reflect viewer protection and content regulation in the legislation. Iptv uses multicast. In a multicast system, the server only needs to transmit data, as if broadcasting to a specific group, so there is no burden on the server, regardless of how many viewers increase. The Iptv address is also in the D-class range, which is designated for multicast IP. The Iptv usage environment may be slightly insufficient, at 100 Mbps for UHD quality, so at least 500 Mbps is required to ensure smooth viewing of UHD quality and to avoid difficulties with other internet services. When using the ICOD method, SD content consumes about 5 to 8 Mbps of bandwidth, while HD content consumes about 10-13 Mbps. In the case of DNP, it uses less bandwidth, but it's still not insignificant. To watch a typical level of TV, the set-top box consumes about 10 Mbps of download bandwidth, and to use Iptv and the internet simultaneously, a line of at least 50 Mbps is required. At first glance, one might think that a 10 Mbps internet connection could be used with such an explanation. But unless it is an ADSL network, 10 Mbps on an HFC network essentially refers to the service speed. Currently, DOCSIS 2.x networks support up to 35 Mbps per port, so it is being provided as a way to secure bandwidth exclusively for Iptv. As of 2013, there were many areas, not only in the provinces, but also in the Gyeonggi metropolitan area, where service was unavailable. However, with the widespread availability of gigabit internet nowadays, this is no longer a major issue. If you dislike slow internet speeds and want better picture quality, it is better to watch satellite, cable, or terrestrial broadcasts. The history of Iptv in South Korea dates back to between 1999 and 2000, when services like Click TV, Home TV Internet, and Internet TV Chosun, aimed at Internet TV, began, but they did not last long. The service centered around VOD began in 2002 with the launch of Durunet's Durunet on TV. But the following year, in 2003, Durunet entered court receivership and discontinued the service in less than a year. The true beginning of Iptv started in 2004, when the three major telecommunications companies introduced BCN technology. Among them, KT launched a service called Home N, which was the first to showcase a set-top box-based service. However, due to political conflicts and competition from cable broadcasting, only VOD streaming services were provided without live broadcasting. At that time, in 2006, as a result of the evaluation for selecting operators for the Iptv pilot project, jointly promoted by the Ministry of Information and Communication and the Broadcasting Commission, two consortiums, C-Cube and Down, were ultimately selected. The evaluation was conducted fairly and transparently through written assessments and on-site evaluations by a panel of 8 experts from academia and the research community in the telecommunications and broadcasting fields. In the written evaluation, 3 consortiums, C-Cube, UMB, and the next one, passed with scores above 70 points, but UMB was eliminated as it was, reported that it would not be able to start pilot services within the year by the end of December 2007. The relevant law finally passed the National Assembly and was implemented in April of the following year. However, the conflict over retransmission fees with the 3 major terrestrial broadcasters continued. and it was only in November 2008 that negotiations were concluded, allowing KT's Mega TV to become the first IPTV service in Korea to provide complete real-time broadcasting. Subsequently, through contracts with various media, KT began to gradually increase the number of broadcast channels, starting in November, marking the beginning of a full-fledged real-time broadcasting system. At this point, while the number of channels on cable was generally higher than that of IPTV, viewers were able to watch almost all popular cable channels, including terrestrial affiliate PP, due to the content acquisition capabilities of IPTV providers. Additionally, by subscribing to bundled products from different telecom companies, aggressive marketing was carried out to allow viewers to watch at prices even cheaper than cable. And as the cost of subscribing to cable TV increased due to conflicts over retransmission fees between cable broadcasters and terrestrial channels, the number of viewers switching to IPTV steadily increased, continuing its growth trend. From this perspective, it might seem that all viewers would have turned to the convenient and fast IPTV, but that wasn't necessarily the case, since cable TV still had its advantages. For example, during this transitional period, there were still some programs that could not be viewed on IPTV, as there were instances where the broadcasting rights for IPTV were not acquired for each program, separate from legal and channel contracts. Therefore, households that cannot watch their favorite channels on IPTV have no need to switch to IPTV and have remained with cable TV. On the other hand, the IPTV sector has addressed the aforementioned issues by operating a separate channel schedule for IPTV for certain channels that did not acquire broadcasting rights. However, conflicts over broadcasting rights continued, and the most severe of these conflicts was represented by the situation regarding the broadcasting rights for the KBO League, particularly in relation to professional baseball. For example, in 2009, the broadcast was temporarily suspended, and in 2012, there was even a situation where the existing channel's baseball broadcasts were completely halted. This was resolved over time, as new programs acquired broadcasting and transmission rights for IPTV. One of the advantages of IPTV is that, above all, it experiences very few disputes between cable broadcasting and SOPP, as well as the annual channel reshuffling that occurs in cable broadcasting. In fact, when the beautiful broadcast blocked the SBS affiliate channels, there was an incident where subscribers were leaked through IPTV. With the spread of IPTV in the military, soldiers can use the replay function to watch girl group appearances in movies, and Defense TV is sometimes played through IPTV during mental training. A significant improvement in picture quality is a bonus. There are issues with IPTV. It tends to attract subscribers with bait products, allowing free viewing for a certain period, and offering the advantage of being able to watch terrestrial broadcasts again. However, there is a lot of dissatisfaction, mainly due to the partial monetization of replays for terrestrial and comprehensive channels, as well as the unexpectedly high content fees. There is a common question about whether one has to pay the TV license fee when watching IPTV, and the conclusion is that you do have to pay it. The reason the TV license fee is problematic is that Article 64 of the Broadcasting Act, which serves as the basis for the TV license fee, stipulates that anyone who possesses a television receiver must pay the fee. But IPTV does not involve receiving television broadcasts. It may sound like a play on words, but if you think carefully about the definition of the term, it is a valid point. While there are often people who sharply criticize this point, the response from the Korea Electric Power Corporation is that, although the legal wording does not match reality, you must pay the reception fee if you have a TV. This is an example of how the law struggles to keep up with technological advancements. However, in order to be recognized as a television receiver, it must have a tuner, so monitors or tunerless TVs do not qualify. Additionally, even if there is a tuner, it will not be recognized if there is no display. Therefore, if you only have a TV tuner card or a set-top box, you will not be charged a reception fee.